This is Everything is Personal with Len and May.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Everything is Personal.
Personal. Take it personal.
With my co-host, as always, Mr. Jon Small. Welcome.
What's up, Mr. Len May? How are you?
My daughter was listening to, I had to listen to the Schooly D show again, and I was listening to my daughter. She was making fun of my intro.
Really?
Why do you say boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? I thought it was funny.
You know what? Kids, they can't handle anything. You're probably the coolest father. I mean, come on, you're interviewing Schooly D. Let me find any of her other friends' dads and do a podcast with interview Schooly D.
She doesn't care.
If
I was interviewing Bieber, I'd be like the superstar. But
right, that's true. They don't care. And by the way, Schooly D's kids probably don't care that he's Schooly D because that's just the way kids are.
Yeah, you're right. It's true. It's true. Well, I just want to say congratulations to New York.
New York. Yeah, that is pretty amazing.
I read a really funny meme. If I can find it really quick while we're doing this, there's nothing like recording this and doing it at the same time. So this was really funny. So New York Governor Cuomo legalizes cannabis, hoping for widespread memory loss after his latest scandal.
That is awesome. Can you hear that music, by the way?
Yeah.
You can, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
New York. So I have a question.
Okay, keep going. Well, hold on a second. You know, I'm going to pause for 1 second because I didn't do this right. I do want to get that on. It's the okay.
It's still playing.
Yeah, I know. All right. So yeah, that was pretty exciting about New York, huh?
Yeah. What's 16th state to legalize?
16th state to legalize marijuana.
Well,
and
I have I have a question about it.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to all the bike messengers who are delivering weed in New York and always have been? So when you get weed, what happens to their job, man? Like
it's true. What does happen to those poor guys? Well, it's kind of like what happens to all those illegal dispensaries in LA when legalized, they still it turns out they still exist. Yeah. It doesn't change.
Nah, nothing changes. There's until they start enforcing. I mean, I think we talked about in a previous show. There's a real reason why they have this black market is because I just placed an order from a delivery company, and my bill was $67.
Wow.
My overall invoice was $105.
Wow.
So the amount of taxes and fees were 40%. If I'm doing my math, I'm bad at math, somewhere around there, right? So it was like, that's how much you have to pay. So how are you going to make any money? How are you going to make a profit if you're paying that much in taxes and stuff? So, black market dispensaries are here to stay until they figure it out, I think.
Just as bike messengers are here to stay. It's like, I mean, it's going to be the same issue. It's going to be expensive to buy weed. It's going to be highly regulated. People aren't going to be living near dispensaries. And who knows? Those guys aren't going anywhere. I mean, they'll always figure out a way around it. But it'll be maybe New York will figure out a way to deal with the illicit market in a better way than California has, because they certainly haven't figured it out.
Well, I got to say, I'm pretty excited that we don't have a guest today. I love when we have guests; it's the best. But I miss
our rapport.
OG. Yeah.
I've missed you. I have. I'm always like, when is this person going to get off so I can talk to Len? No, it's not true. I love our guests. But it's true. Like, we haven't had just a one-on-one shoot the shit episode in a minute. So,
well, I have to tell you a story. So, and this is something to share with our audience as well. I was invited to this mastermind. So what they did was they looked through they invited a bunch of different cannabis, experts. I don't really consider myself an expert. Like, people who've been in the industry for a long time and have experience in whatever they do. So they invited like 30 people, and I think only 18 showed up, but it was great. It was 3 hours, but very, very intense. But so we got chance, it's all on Zoom, and we got a chance to talk about what everybody's doing. And I learned a lot of interesting things about cultivation, because that's not really my forte.
Right.
And it got really deep in the weeds, pun intended. And then we had breakout rooms, and there was a guy who, a very, very, very knowledgeable cultivator, like really understands the plant and the environment, the plants and what they do and their efficacy. And we started talking to him. He's like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know this even existed." So that goes to show that, Endocanna Health does not do a very good job of marketing ourselves because people don't know that we exist. But that's all right.
So you fired your marketing person, then you get back.
Well, we already did that previously because it didn't work out. So we have to do a better job in getting the word out about EndoDNA. But the thing that I started telling them about, I said, people have these sometimes adverse effects and people don't talk about it. As we talked about this in the show, many times before, that people have these adverse effects, and your DNA can guide you in that. So the guy goes, "Hey man, I'm just blown away because I have Tourette's. I have Tourette's syndrome, and I obviously had Tourette's all my life." And his story is he's one of the first compassionate care patients in California. So this was back in 1998, if I'm not mistaken. They had Compassionate Use Act. So his mom, as a teenager, his mom took him to the doctor. And the doctor actually suggested cannabis. And his mom was like, "No way, it's you'll fry your brain, and this is crazy." But they couldn't find anything else because the medication was making him feel bad. And he went and finally gave in, and it worked. And it worked great. And then he started cultivating, and he became a great cultivator. And then one of the things he was telling me about, he goes, "Man, I've had so many bad experiences trying to find what that is that works for me. Because if you take the wrong thing, it actually exacerbates the symptoms of Tourette's. And then sometimes it creates serious physical tics and all these stuff. So all the things that, cannabis can express, the Tourette's can express, it actually highlights those things if you're consuming the wrong thing." And he goes, "It took me years to dial in what it is." And he goes, "I'm very, very careful of consuming anything outside of what I cultivate because I already know what works for me." And he goes, "This is a godsend. If people can actually know in advance what it is they're going to consume, it's extremely helpful." For those of you who don't know, I'm just going to define Tourette's syndrome. So it's a nervous system disorder involving repetitive movements or unwanted sounds. It starts in childhood. I know that people have heard many people just be made fun of. It can be a funny for the person that hears it, can be a funny syndrome. Like somebody,
not so funny for the person who has to experience it.
Somebody fuck shit. I've heard many people like Howard Stern used to have a guy that was on with Tourette's who used to compete with like Stuttering John for airtime, and Howard found the other guy.
I used to have a neighbor in New York, Manhattan that had it. He would yell at his door when I would come in, "Yo, motherfucking chicken fat!" And I'd be like, "Holy shit!" At first, I didn't realize what was. I thought this guy hated me, and then I realized what was happening.
It's Tourette's. Yeah,
it was Tourette's. Yeah, it's interesting. Kind of a high-profile Tourette's case because Tourette's comes in all forms. Yeah. We know about the verbal one, but there's also kind of a neurological tics, like facial tics. And I don't know if you watched the new Billie Eilish documentary, which I highly recommend.
Yeah, my daughter watched it with her mom. So
okay, so you didn't watch it.
She spent time watching it with me, but I did see clips of it.
And she's very open about her Tourette's, and you really see it in the documentary. She has more of the facial tic kind of Tourette's, but it's kind of like, wow, okay, that's going to bring it to light because there's millions and millions of people that love Billie Eilish and are now aware of Tourette's. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad she talked about that. And so you're absolutely right. I didn't finish the definition, but you're right. It's unwanted sounds, tics, repeating, blinking the eyes, shrugging the shoulders, blurring out offensive words, treatment may include medication or psychological therapies or cannabis. So that was one conversation. And by saying this openly to the group, there was another person who was talking about pain. You're saying that, cannabis is supposed to be, good for pain, THC especially, because it can block the receptor as an analgesic. But then, some people are saying it actually enhances pain. Wow. So finding the right thing. And last thing I want to say about this, and I'm not going to mention the doctor's name, but I was doing a talk. This doctor invited me to do a talk to her parents, patients, and other people who are interested in her practice and things that they do with cannabis. So I came in and I did this talk. And one of the things I talked about was that some people have a genetic predisposition to dependence on THC, mostly in terms of cannabis. There's a gene for it. It's very rare, but some people have it. So she pulled me aside afterwards. I hope I didn't give away who it is by saying she. All right.
It's all right.
This person pulled me aside afterwards and gave me a talking to and said that she would prefer that I don't speak about cannabis dependence with people who are already concerned about cannabis. And I said, well, I'm not the doctor. I am just a person who's taken information from your DNA and interpreting. I'm giving you facts. That's what it is. I'm not saying that somebody has it. It's up to you as the doctor to interpret it and communicate that with your patients. So she's very upset at me and didn't have me back on.
Uh-oh. You made an enemy. You know what? You haven't lived if you haven't made an enemy in this world.
I'm sure I made a few.
I've had a few. Yes, I've gotten good at making enemies lately. I used to be really bad at it, but I've gotten better as I've gotten older. Not enemies, but definitely people who do not like me.
Well, I think there was a part of my life. Maybe this is you share this too, where I wanted to make people happy.
Yeah,
I'm a giver, a contributor. I'm not sure if I'm a people pleaser kind of thing, but I want to give. And I think sometimes when people are upset with you, you don't want that. So you're forthcoming and you try to conform to what it is. But I think that once, as I became older, more comfortable with myself, I'm just going to say what I need to say. And if it bothers you, I'm sorry that it does. And that's it. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that comes with age. And most of my life, I was always so concerned what other people thought about me. And, pleasing them, that was really important for me. And it was weird. Like the bigger the stranger, the more important it was for me, for that person to like me rather than, the people around me, the closest to me, but I find myself getting over that. That is, once you can overcome that, it's still a struggle for me, but once you can overcome that, it really frees you tremendously.
Yeah. Dude, for sure, because you're always trying to be someone you're not. And
you're calibrating and you're just like, oh, no, and I was pretty bad at it. Whenever I would get mad at people, I would be like really bad at it. I would overcompensate. I would get way too angry, but now it's a balance, not even angry, just not always doing what other people want me to do and being, not being afraid to push back or not being afraid to just, if I don't like somebody, just to be like, you know what, I don't really like this person. I don't need to deal with them anymore. I don't need to try to be friends with them or try to.
Yeah. I think that we were talking to, one of our last guests who was talking about energy. And sometimes you feel that vibrational energy in somebody and it kind of is repellent. You try to make it work, but sometimes it doesn't work. You're just vibrating at different frequencies. So I'm really tuning into that. Was that an experience you had in like high school too? Or like
wanting people to like me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I found my own identity, but I was always trying to be in, the cool crowd or, I just did a lot of things that were people pleasy things. I was a break dancer. I was a DJ. I did all the dances. I enjoyed that stuff, but it just, being judged, it was really interesting. I was watching the Taylor Swift documentary. Look at me. All I do is watch music documentaries. I watched the Billie Eilish and somebody's got an 11-year-old
of young girls.
Yeah, somebody's got an 11-year-old daughter on this podcast, and that happens to be me. Right. So I watch all these podcasts with her. Podcasts, all these documentaries with her. And so Taylor Swift, the whole beginning of that documentary, she's talking about how her whole life up until she was about 25 was defined by pleasing her audience and making sure her fans were happy. And then when it finally dropped, after the Kanye West incident at the MTV or the Grammys, she and her, there was like this, her whole world fell apart because suddenly that was her whole identity was based on this thing. And now everybody was kind of making fun of her. And she, on national stage, she was humiliated and she like became a complete wreck. So, it happens to a lot of people. I think a lot of famous people. So in high school, I was totally obsessed with having people like me and then just taking jobs because I thought people would be impressed by the jobs that I took rather than actually doing the stuff I wanted to do. right? Like, and it starts with trying to please your parents. You know, for me, it was about.
I was just going to say
parents.
that. Yeah,
You know?
that's exactly it. I was going to say that it starts because first of all, I don't really get Taylor Swift. Just as a side note, I don't.
I liked her more
her.
after those documentaries are really good marketing tools because I didn't really get her either. I got two stories about Taylor Swift that I have to tell you. One is that documentary really made me like her a lot more and realize that she's a lot more talented than I realized she was. But the second thing about Taylor Swift that people should know, because it's just a beautiful story, is this is actually the anniversary of my friend Adam Schlesinger's death from COVID-19, April 1st. He was born on Halloween. He died on April 1st. But I don't bring that up to be a bummer. I bring that up because after he died, he didn't know Taylor Swift, but she was a big fan of his music. And after he died, she wrote his daughters, who were like 16 and 12, the most beautiful letter, and she illustrated it. She wrote like a heartfelt 2-page letter about how sorry she was and how much their father's music meant to her. And she like illustrated it with like pictures of like birds and like trees. And it was this, I mean, can you imagine these kids, they lost their dad, to get a letter from Taylor Swift? I mean, they were just blown away. I'm only telling you this publicly because they put it all over their Instagram and stuff, but it was just, it made me love her. Like, I was like, I was like, that's a good person. Like, she didn't have to do that. You know, she didn't know Adam.
I think I need to separate what I said. Not the person like Taylor Swift. I meant her music, because when she first started out, I definitely connect. I got it. I'm like, it's some country pop, and I kind of get it. And I like interesting lyrics, and it's light, and she's blonde and all that stuff. And then she became sort of pop. And
she changed.
I don't understand the music. I know the industry, like the record labels get you like, oh, you're going to be this person now. We're going to write this for you, and we're going to produce this. So maybe that's not even her anymore. I don't even know, but I just have no connection to her.
I think she's kind of come back a little bit to her sort of grassroots, or her like more folksy kind of country thing. I mean, I don't know if I love her music. I think I understand it. Some of it's pretty good. She uses a lot of different producers, but she definitely writes a lot of her own music, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure.
She writes a lot of pop musicians, we've talked about this on the show. I think, they have these teams of people that come in and write all their songs. Somebody writes the melody and somebody writes the beat, and she doesn't do that. She writes her song. She'll have a producer make it better, but she writes all her music. Anyway, I think she's very talented. I don't sit down and listen to Taylor Swift records. I think I like Billie. I probably like Billie Eilish music more, like as when I'm sitting down to listen to music. But both of them, I feel, are for a different audience than me. So I get it. It's not, maybe if I was 17 years old and a girl, as I was once.
You look great. To tell you about the transition. Sex change,
yeah. The transition was great, but I can appreciate what she's doing, and I think she's a raw talent.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, you just the music. You don't.
I really like Billie Eilish. I like her music. I get it, and it connects more with me. I've been assessing this for a long time about what connects more with me, and it has to do with the sadness. So it has to. If you're writing music that connects, that you're using as a vehicle, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Billie Eilish talked about. They were asking her to write happy music, and she was saying that I don't feel happy.
They're asking her to write hits.
True.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, she did say that. She said, "I'm just writing what I am." She's very true to herself.
That's right. True. Well, and if that truth is, she was cutting and she was doing all these different things, and she was sad, she was down, and if you're using that as a vehicle to write music and put it out there, it connects to me. Mm-hmm. So happy music is cool. I love happy music to dance to, whatever, or you're driving the car. But real music that I can sit and put the headphones on or whatever it is and listen to, it's got to be a sadness to that.
Unless it's hip hop.
Well, yeah, it's.
I can't think of too many sad hip hop songs. I mean, there's a few like, about living on the streets or whatever, but it's never like crying. Maybe Eminem. I don't know. I can't think of one. Has there ever been a sad hip hop?
Yeah, a lot of them are sad, because if you talk about the injustice in the world, there's a lot of hip hop that talks about injustices and the cops and all these other things. It's not really happy if you think about it, unless it's like you're the baller with the chains and the Rolexes and all that other stuff.
I'm just trying to think like The Message is a great rap about the streets, and yet I don't think I cried. I've never cried. Broken glass.
That makes me cry every time.
Oh my God. I have this "Don't push me because I'm close to the edge" t-shirt. And that is something that is very generational, because I wear that shirt around the city, and I know that half the people who look at it have no freaking idea what the hell that is.
Right.
And then I'll be standing online at a dispensary, as I was recently, and the guard, who's like, probably in his 30s or 40s, was like, "Dude, your shirt's awesome."
Yeah, exactly. You got to be old to get it.
You got to be old to get that shirt. That's a dad shirt.
Yeah, and I was you're going back and saying about like pleasing your parents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had this conversation with my dad, and if my dad listens, oh well, whatever.
Hey, Dad.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my dad's name is Alex. Hey, Alex.
What's up, Alex?
So one of the things we talked about the other night, he was giving me lessons on how I should parent, because he's such a wonderful parent.
Example.
Did such an amazing job, and like at one point I couldn't take it anymore about the lessons that I was getting. I said, you know what my lesson was? I said, you gave me an incredible lesson for parenting. The lesson was, whatever you would do, I would just do the opposite with my daughter. So I appreciate the lesson that he gave me.
I'm sure he loved that.
He was not happy. He was not happy. And then he goes, I did the best I could. And that's it. There was no, he goes, there's no book.
I'm sorry.
There's no lessons and all that stuff. And I was like, no, sorry.
That doesn't exist.
No, but I said to him, I said, Dad, but you could have done the same thing. I said, you didn't like some of the things you were raised. You don't know anything about the way I was raised. I said, I know what you told me. You can tell me more. I'm open to listening to it. And he didn't want to, it really upset him. He was really, he started getting angry with me. And I was like, well, if you didn't like it, we have the opportunity in free will to break the cycle, right? So if you're being abused, if your parent is being abused, your grandparents abusing them, vice versa, or being mean or doing something you don't like, you don't have to continue that trend. Like, you think to yourself, it's like, oh, I really didn't like that. Maybe when I have my kids, I'm going to do the opposite or do something different. You don't have to repeat it. So you had a choice not to do the same thing that you were supposed to, that was supposed to be done.
You just continued it. Yeah. I mean, I think a shrink once said to me, that she was having this problem with her mother trying to tell her what to do about it. And she said to her mother, you know what, you had your turn to raise me. Now it's my turn, and I'm going to do it my way. And I appreciate your advice, but we're just going to have to agree to disagree. I can't tell you how many times I've said to my mother, we have to agree to disagree. My mother was here last weekend, the first time I've seen her from COVID for over a year. And she visited me in LA. And one of the first things she wanted to talk to me about how much she's on Woody Allen's side and completely disagrees, hates Mia Farrow, thinks she's manipulative. I don't know if it's this kind of like certain Jewish women of a certain generation from New York that just will not refuse to see any evil in Woody Allen. But I just said to her, I mean, this is not about parenting, but I just said to her, Mom, that's really interesting. We're going to have to agree to disagree, and do not mention this topic to my wife because she will kill you. And then, of course, I go out and I come back, and the first thing they're talking about in my kitchen is Woody Allen. I see my wife like cutting onions, like angrily. I was like, she won't give in. And crying. Yeah. While she's cutting her onions. My mom just will not. But anyway, she's very inflexible. And I've told her, like, when she gives me advice, she's always commenting on, looks of my kids and stuff. I'm like, don't do that to my kids. Don't, it just freaks them out. And it's different.
Yeah. My dad does the same thing. My mom is the opposite. Every single person is beautiful. She's like the complete opposite side of it. She big, short, fat, small, skinny. It doesn't matter. They're all beautiful, which is probably it. And my dad is an extremely judgmental person. So I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. And I tell my daughter, if I'm being judgmental, flag me. And she did the other day. She's like, Dad, you're being judgmental. I'm like, oh, fuck, man, I'm sorry. But thanks for pointing it out. But I told my dad, which another thing he didn't like, that it's also money, right? So he keeps, now his thing is this: he's proud of me, and he tells me he loves me, which I never heard all my life. So I think it's coming out. It's making me feel awkward, but to be honest,
you're like, well, I don't know. I wanted this my whole life, and now that I have it,
say I love you too, but why now? And then out of the other part of his mouth, I talked to him about, what I'm doing in business. He goes, and I said, I wanted a podcast. I said, I love doing this podcast. He goes, yeah, but it doesn't make you money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to think about money. I'm like, it's everything. I thought you were proud of me. Well, I'm proud of you for your business, that you're making money there or whatever. I don't know. Who's what I'm making, whatever. But if I were just doing what makes me happy, he's not proud of me.
Isn't that incredible? I've said it to my parents, like, that's one of the lessons I've learned from my parents that I've changed on my kids, that they were so fixated on my interest in things like DJing and stuff when I was a kid, and how I'm like, oh, you're not going to make any money doing that. It was such a big issue for them. And it really scared me away from a lot. Not that it was their fault. I made my own choices, and they were very supportive and loving in a lot of ways, and certainly very supporting right now. At least my dad's passed away, but my mom is. And, but yeah, like, they were just, I'm like, you know what, if your child, no matter what age, shows a passion and excitement about something, just fucking say that you are happy about it. Unless they're like drug addicts or sex freaks, it's so hard to have a passion about anything in life. I mean, support it. Who gives a shit? My dad always used to say, ironically, basically, like, the money will come. Like, have a passion for something, like he did, music. The money is eventually going to come. It's probably true with podcasting, even with me. Like, I came to podcasting a little before you did, and I'm making some money doing it. You'll make some money doing it. It just happens.
I'm not even worried about it. I mean, that has no concern me.
And who cares? You're enjoying it.
Same thing with my
book. You don't need the money.
Like, he goes, oh, well, how are you going to sell it? I'm like, well, I have a publisher. They're going to put it out there. Well, do you have a goal? Like, how many books? I said, no.
He just thinks, parents think they have to give you advice all the time.
I want to give it away. Did I ever tell you? First of all, let me go back and finish. The reason why we even started this conversation is because we started talking about college visits for my daughter. Like, she wanted to graduate early. Now, because of COVID, she's probably can't. Regardless, we want to start talking about college, where she wants to go to school. And if she wants to go to school, she wants to go to school. I don't really care. I don't care about her grades. She's never gotten anything less than an A. She cares. I don't care. So he comes back and is like, well, what is she going to go to school for? I'm like, I don't know, whatever she wants. Well, what is she going to do? I'm like, she's going to act. Well, no. What do you mean? What is she going to do? I'm like, she's an actor. That's what she's been doing. She was 5 years old.
Right.
Well, yeah, but it's really hard. Her mom will relearn how hard it is. I told you so, kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, but her mom wasn't acting since she was 5. And that's all she's ever wanted to do was entertain, act and sing and all that stuff. And she writes music. That's what she does. I mean, how can you, I'm like,
take that away from her?
She's so lucky, because how many kids, like, I know so many people later on in life, they don't have no idea what their passion is.
Right.
There's none.
I think our kids are very fortunate in that way. Both of our kids. My son Elijah knows he wants to be. I don't know if he knows he wants to be a professional musician, but he loves music. That is his love of life, right? Yeah, and he knows what he loves, and he's gotten very good at it. And just like your daughter's gotten very good at acting. I wish I had a passion. And the funny thing is, I kind of did, but you
did have a passion. But that's why I was going to come back. My daughter's also a singer, and she writes music and plays piano. She loves that kind of stuff. So did I ever tell you the story about how I went to school and for what? Did I ever say this? Okay. So I had a passion for music, same way as you did. I had no musical skills. So my role model in music was Rick Rubin. Mm-hmm. And I remember him saying, I don't play an instrument. I don't do anything. I'm not even the DJing part was like my kind of DJing, where you just connect records and all that stuff. Not anything really special. Right. But he's got an ear. He's like, I know what I like. And since I was a kid, I would lay in bed and I would make mixtapes, and I would glue them, and I would cut the tapes, and I would make them for people. And it's sort of my taste in music. One of the things I loved the most was introducing people to music that they didn't hear before. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I had no idea what.
That's why we do Have You Heard?
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea what career that is. I didn't know what major that is. I had no idea, but I'm like, I want to go and explore the business of music and figure it out. Maybe I would have been an A&R guy. I have no idea. So my parents had an intervention for me. They got a shrink, a psychiatrist, to come in, and they all had an intervention that forced me. I don't want to say forced because did have some free will, even though I paid for my own college and everything else, and they kicked me out anyway, so it doesn't matter. But they talked me into going to physical therapy school. That was what I
Wow.
went to school for. Like I'm grateful that I learned anatomy and physiology because I get to use that
But
in my
wow, did
business
they
now.
ever squash that dream? It's so
Oh my,
sad. I know.
yeah, exactly.
And you would have been. I mean, I think you could have been a Rick Rubin, right? Who knows? Again, we can't, I maybe this is good or bad, but I had actually, one of my first things I ever did out of college was I got a job working for the Muppets. Actually, I shouldn't say working. I auditioned to be in the Muppets. I got trained by Jane Henson, who's Jim Henson's um, wife, who's
Like,
now
yeah.
no longer with us. And you know, basically there was callbacks. I got called back. I told my family and they were like, well, that's cool, but are they going to pay you? And of course, no, they're not going to pay you at first. It's the same story. Right. And I
It's
freaked
a
out.
whole
Now
Jewish thing, I think.
they didn't, they didn't like say no, but their impression was, we can't just keep paying your rent. You gotta. So I freaked out because I was like, well, was going to be like a month commitment of no money. And how was I going to pay for it? And I said no. And I've always wondered, I could have been Kermit. No, the Kermit already existed, but I could have been
Miss
a
Piggy.
non-pedophile Elmo. But so anyway, you said something that was really interesting. I don't want to brush over the thing about once your father complimented you, you didn't know what to do with it. It almost made you uncomfortable. And I find that, in the wanting so much to have the approval of others, one of the things I found is when you finally get it, it's not, you want that all your life and then you finally get it. And honestly, I have two reactions to it. Either it's embarrassing to me when people are like too praisey of me and complimentary, or it's never enough. Right. So like, it's like such a ridiculous thing to crave in life because it's never satisfying. And when you actually get it, it can sometimes be somewhat embarrassing and awkward. So it's not exactly a great thing to aspire to. It's certainly not going to make you happy.
Yeah, it's super awkward and it makes me feel awkward. Even, we'll move off this subject in a second, but even when people talk about, read my bio, you're an expert of this and this, like fuck no. Like I am, here's what my expertise is. And whoever's listening, if they ever want to introduce me, this will be the best introduction. I am one of the most curious people I know. That is an amazing, like I love to learn and hate to study. And I am just curious. My expertise is I just want to learn. I want to get more information. Anything that I'm interested in, I want to learn more about that information. So whatever my expertise is, it's only the fact that I'm a student of life and I want to learn more things. So that's why I may know certain things, and I'm good in Jeopardy because I know a lot of useless facts.
Are you good at like crossword puzzles and shit like that?
No, because my ADD kicks in. Now I start thinking about different things. But
5 across,
Jeopardy is perfect for me because it gives me a really short time frame. So I had the dopamine hit that I need to make. I need to give that answer in a short period of time. So for people with ADD, for instance, I just had my physical. I was talking to my doctor about that. By the way, she's like, whatever you're doing, it's perfect.
Keep doing it.
Everything was just fantastic. And she was talking about ADD, and I'm like, that's my superpower because I get that squirt of dopamine all the time. And Jeopardy, because you have a short time frame, you get it. And sometimes I give my deadlines to the very last minute so I can have that adrenaline, so I can have that dopamine and complete it because I'm not getting that dopamine if it's a week away kind of thing. So that Jeopardy, really short time period to give an answer really quick, that works for me.
I'm more of a Family Feud kind of guy.
I love that Family Feud too.
I don't know. Jeopardy is a little bit past my pay grade. No, I'm okay. I'm getting better. I've been doing crossword puzzles lately. I did one last night actually before I went to bed.
I got to start doing that stuff too. I used to be good at Trivial Pursuit. Trivial Pursuit was really good. I don't even know if that game exists.
Oh yeah, I love Trivial Pursuit. I played the other day. I played Password. Do you remember that game, Password?
Yeah.
Sure. We played. I was at some friend's house, and we were playing it. And that's a really good word for like sharpening your focus, and just like editing yourself. For us ADD folk, like, it's a good editing game. Like to try to distill one word to try to get somebody to say another word. Yeah.
What's the one that you draw and then you have to guess?
Pictionary.
Pictionary. Yeah.
I'm terrible at that because I can't draw for shit.
Yeah, I can't draw really well. I paint better than I draw, but I love that game. It's so much fun.
It is a fun game. I'm getting into games too. Man, I must be becoming an old man because suddenly I like games. Like it's like my grandma used to always play canasta and all these bridge and shit like that. And I'm like, let's play games. We were like, all our friends were sitting around at a beach house, and I'm like, all I wanted to do was play games. I'm like, let's play games.
Pinochle.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty bad.
You want to talk about music, soundtracks?
Oh, talking about, yeah. I mean, come on. Well, how could we have an episode without talking about music? And I was inspired by this topic. Flea had gone on Twitter, and he just kind of started this thread like, okay, favorite soundtrack albums. I'll go first. And he dropped one. And I was like, that's a great topic. Like I never had thought about it. I think, I think when you say soundtracks, it's definitely like we should define what we mean, because I feel like this is like movies that have had that like cobbled together a bunch of like songs, as the background kind of tracks. Because of course my father used to write. Well, I guess he wrote scores. He didn't write soundtracks. So that's what that is. So I was, there was a few that were on my list, and I was like, no, it doesn't really count if they're singing the songs in the movie, right? Like it can't be Grease, because like, exactly. You know what I mean? It has to be like songs that exist. They might have been written for the movie, but nobody performs those songs in the movie. So that kind of eliminates. There's some that are hybrids, and we'll talk about those, like Purple Rain. But by the way,
you just took one.
Damn it! I shouldn't have even said it. Best soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks ever. But is it really? But it is. I guess it is, because it has songs that aren't actually.
Well, I think they were written for the movie.
They're written for the movie, but it's not like they're singing the movie. I guess I don't know. I don't know how to distinguish. It's not like freaking West Side Story where they're like, "When I'm a jet, I'm a jet."
No, that doesn't work. No, Grease was a good example.
We're not doing him.
Yeah, we're in the same.
Grease
page.
is a good example. Yes, I think.
And by the way, a score like your father would like there was some. I looked at some lists, and they had some of the
original
John Williams kind of thing. I'm like,
that's
I get it. Space Odyssey, 2001. Like I get it, but it's not really, to me, that really is not a soundtrack. Even though
that's different. A soundtrack is like, of course, the soundtrack is my father's worst nightmare when I was growing up, because there was that meant no work for him. Exactly. Somebody didn't want to do original music to a movie, he was totally fucked. So anyway, but I think he appreciated a good soundtrack when it was done well. All right. How do you want to do this? Do you want to, I
was going to ask
I can also play a few as we talk, but we can just kind of go down our list. I mean, I was trying to keep it kind of broad. I tried to be a little bit surprising. Some of these I think are going to be very obvious to people, and maybe we should start with the most obvious.
I think you just said the Purple Rain.
Okay. So I said Purple Rain, and I mean, Purple Rain is pretty much on everybody's list as like the greatest soundtrack record. Really one of the greatest rock and roll movies, like made by like an artist. Like it was a really good movie. People forget that Purple Rain.
It, by the way, with my daughter.
What did she think of it? Did she like it?
She liked it. Yeah, she liked it. She didn't love it.
Right. I don't know if it's definitely of its time. Like I feel like some of these things you watch them with your kids and you're like, ooh, that's different than I remembered it. But I loved it when I saw it. That's for sure. Yeah. I was like, this is a great freaking movie.
Great movie, great soundtrack, and super sad. Like
it is sad.
Very sad. And the very end when he actually performs Purple Rain, I mean, just like fantastic. So yeah.
Is that one of your favorite Prince songs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna I mean, hold on, let me put this Purple.
And he has so many live renditions of this. You see him, like, he can play the song for 15 minutes straight. It's amazing. Or he could.
Yeah. I know. Anyway, it's a beautiful song. And a beautiful song. And I love the stuff by The Time, by the way. Like they kind of steal the show in a lot of ways.
Morris Day, yeah.
Morris Day is he's great. They just did a Prince tribute concert, which my wife went to. It was like something they did on NBC. Maya Rudolph hosted it right before COVID. And
was that at the Bowl?
It wasn't at the Bowl. They did it like they actually took over the Jacob. It was made for TV, so they took over the Jacob Javits Center and made it into like a theater. It wasn't. It was like an invitation only thing. But my wife went, and Morris Day and the Time performed, and it was like one of the best things in the whole thing. Sheila E. also performed, which was really cool.
I've seen Sheila E. a bunch of times. She's amazing.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
So okay, so we are unanimously on Purple Rain.
Correct.
Another kind of obvious one to me is Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Also one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. Every single song on there is like
there's like not a bad song on the damn freaking album. I mean, come on. Is that it's not and then you learn in the doc about it that it turns out they wrote all these like 5 of these songs they wrote in 2 weeks in a chateau in France because somebody was like, oh, they need some music for this movie they're doing.
I know.
It's like it's crazy.
And every one of those hit.
It's like including this one. Anyway, such a credible album, and not even just all the Bee Gees stuff like that. Yvonne, what's her name? Yvonne Elliman, Jewish, I guess. Maybe not. It sounds like a Jewish name. Yvonne Elliman. No, I think she's Latina, but she. I love that.
Could be Jewish Latino too. You never know.
She could. I mean, that would be hot. That's a great combo.
I like that too.
Love this song. Anyway,
yeah, it was thought of as being cheesy for a very long time. Like it was hot.
It's come back.
Cheesy, then now it's back.
It was one of the last disco sucks. It was one of the final nails in the coffin with the disco sucks movement, but. Boy, is it a great freaking.
So album. I have a question for you on the soundtrack. Is Sgt. Pepper a soundtrack? Really? I have it on my list.
I mean, I think it can be, but for the Bee Gees movie?
Yeah, for the movie.
Yeah, I guess so. But did they re-recorded stuff or how did I can't remember?
That's what I mean. They redid, but they're musicians. So this is where this gray area comes in because you set out the rules, and I agree with you. And the only caveat to that I put is Sgt. Pepper because the Bee Gees are actual musicians. They redid the songs. I think they did a fantastic job. The movie kind of sucked. I kind of liked it. I kind of thought it was fun. I mean, maybe George Burns playing God was not the best choice, but it was an interesting movie. But so is it a soundtrack?
That's a hard one because they redid it, right? But then they're singing. You know what? I have to admit that I don't even remember seeing that movie because it's one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah.
But and it's so bad they didn't even mention it in the Bee Gees documentary. They're just like, let's just not mention that. It was like a major thing. I mean, it was like a huge budget.
I think they did mention it. I think they did.
They?
Yeah, I think they did mention it briefly. But
it wasn't. They didn't get really into it. Like
no,
Saturday Night Fever.
Anyway, it's on the side, so I don't know if it's a soundtrack.
I don't know. We can put it on. I count it.
Yeah,
counting.
If it is a soundtrack, then it's like it has to be one of the best because
Yeah, I mean it's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, probably my favorite Beatles record. So why not? Although some of the Bee Gees versions of some of those songs are not as good as the originals, but we should do a list someday of people who actually did a better cover. Did we do that already? I feel like the cover is better than the actual.
I don't know if we ever did that one, but that's a good.
That would be a good list.
All right.
What else do you want? Am I next? Who's next?
Just go.
One song. Okay. Well, another, and I know you're going to have a few of these because you've already expressed that you are a fan of this particular filmmaker, but I am going to say, Pulp Fiction. Because it's just incredible.
It's so long. There's so many songs on it too.
And it's such a cool combination of like old surfer rock Dale, Dick Dale music, but also like Chuck Berry and
you got Urge
Jungle
Overkill,
Brothers, Kool and the Gang.
They made that was the big hit that came out of that. When they were doing their dance. And then you have like
things like this.
Exactly. Like, Girl, You'll Be a Woman. That song.
Yeah, you'll be a woman.
It's Urge Overkill.
Oh, it's an incredible.
Agreed.
Soundtrack.
100%.
And honestly, not the only incredible soundtrack that he did. right?
There's another one on the list for me.
There's another one on my list too, and we'll probably get to it. We should probably do these.
There's probably two, but I had to pick one. I didn't want it to be a bunch of Tarantino.
I figured, I was like, this is gonna be hard for Len because he's going to do all Tarantino.
Well, Reservoir Dogs was amazing, and since we're talking about it, like Kill Bill. I mean, you have RZA. RZA did all the production on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that is kind of Kill Bill is great. I love the Kill Bill soundtrack. I have them all, so it was very hard for me to. I was very impressed with the Jackie Brown soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
just like the Jackie Brown movie is probably one of his most underrated movies. I feel like his soundtrack, that was like he kind of like brought to light all these songs that were like so, I don't know, like not mainstream like R&B type songs. Like this song "Street Life" by Randy Crawford.
Love the song.
Yeah, it's a good song. Like a lot of these, I love this kind of music, but a lot of these songs I didn't know before this movie came out. I mean, I had the soundtrack and I kind of played it to death. I was like, what is this song? And they even had like Brothers Johnson songs that I had.
Yeah, I just love the way he incorporates music in his movies. Anyway, they're part of the movie. Yeah, like him and Scorsese does this to a certain point too. So, but yeah, he's fantastic.
You're right. Well, that kind of brings me to Goodfellas.
Good, yeah, it's on my list too.
It's on my list. It had to be.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an incredible. There's so many, and the best is the final sequence with the helicopter. What is that song that he plays with? While he thinks he's being chased by the helicopter.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good '80s soundtracks. That was another thing that was hard for me. I think the one that, even though the movie is, I don't even remember the movie, it has a good soundtrack, and that's Pretty in Pink. If you just look at, it's on your list. Because if you look at the songs, I mean, it's got
OMD.
It has Echo and the Bunnymen, Bring on the Dancing Horses. It has New Order, Shell Shock.
Yes.
If You Leave, OMD, like you said, Pretty in Pink. I mean, it has great songs. Like it's it's like a soundtrack has definitely the soundtrack was better than the movie.
Well, it's like John. I like the movie. I think John Hughes, was one of those two that how can we incorporate music into the movie as part of the movie? I think he did a fantastic job of doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, Pretty in Pink, I agree.
Any other '80s on your list?
'80s. No, I think I have '70s, and I
have one other '80s movie on my list.
Right, what is it?
Actually, do I?
Is Clueless '80s or is that 90s?
No, that's '90s.
Okay.
Clueless is great. Yeah. Actually, I was gonna put Fast Times at Ridgemont High because that has a lot of really great songs. Yeah. But that turns out there's no soundtrack record for that. It's just like it has a bunch of great songs that are not on a soundtrack record anywhere.
I know.
Yeah. So it doesn't count. Disqualified.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go back to so we went to the 80s. How about the 70s? We did Saturday Night Fever, but what else you got on you?
Apocalypse Now.
Oh, that is a great one. I didn't even put that
Rolling
down.
Stones, The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, Pink Floyd. I mean, he had a lot.
I mean, that was crazy. I wonder, can you buy an Apocalypse Now soundtrack? I wonder. I have to look that up right now. I'm going to go buy it. I mean, some of these, it's hard to put together because he put like classic things that are probably extremely expensive to license, right?
Yeah. It's all like those hits.
I'm not sure you can get this soundtrack to Apocalypse Now, but I'm going to give it to you because honestly, it's like if you don't know the music from Apocalypse Now, then it's a sad state of affairs, and you should retire as a human being. I love from the 70s. I'm going to take so I mentioned at the top of this episode that Flea had started this and his choice. And I have to say, cause I loved the soundtrack when I was a kid.
I have one more 70s. Let's see if it's the same one.
Well, it's kind of surprising that it came from Flea, but Harold and Maude.
Oh, really? No, it's not on my list.
I didn't even think you would put that on your list, but honestly, I love that soundtrack. I mean, it's all one artist, and
I love the movie. I'm trying to remember the sound.
Well, the soundtrack is all.
Oh yeah.
It's all Cat Stevens.
It's Cat Stevens, yeah.
It's all Cat Stevens, and it's great Cat Stevens songs.
Right.
Now that I've lost everything to you.
It's a great song.
Anyway, and he's got "And if you wanna live low,
Yeah.
live low, and if you wanna sing free, 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 and the morning is broken." Anyway, that's such a wonderful movie. I watched that recently with my son. He like really enjoyed it. It's a strange movie.
I gotta watch it again with her.
I feel like it's one of those things that you watch. Like it was on cable when I was a kid, and when we first got cable, it was like on all the time. And I watched a bunch of times. I love that movie. Ruth Gordon.
One more 70s. I have Superfly.
Oh,
Curtis Mayfield.
Very, very good record. That was on my list too.
It's all Curtis Mayfield.
All Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah.
I actually have, although that's 60s. Let me see if I have another 70s. Oh, I do, because this just makes it 1972. I'm sure this is on your list, but I will first of all, I gotta cue it up because it's just too good.
Go for it. And I do have an 80s that I missed and I wanted to actually ask you about.
All right, here we go. This one, well, I'll just play this one because why not?
You can get it if you really want.
This is the Harder They Come soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Do you not know the Harder They Come soundtrack?
No.
Oh, Len, I've changed your life.
I'm getting it right now.
1972. It's You Can Get It If You Really Want. The harder they come, the harder they fall. One and all. It's got that. It's got pressure drop. Oh, pressure. The Clash did a cover of that, but Pressure Drop, the original Pressure Drop. It's cool because it's reggae, but it's also that music that came like before reggae. That was like,
is it like Jimmy Cliff stuff?
Jimmy Cliff. It's all Jimmy Cliff.
Okay. No, I do know.
Yeah,
that,
but it also has the Slickers and it has Toots
right,
and the Maytals.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like pre Bob Marley. It's really good.
Yep. I know exactly what you're
love
talking
it. Love it.
Stuff.
So that's one of my 1972 favorite
So
soundtracks.
Wild Style. That's 80s, right?
Yeah, Wild Style's early 80s. That's a good one.
Yeah. Because I was looking at hip hop and I was trying to see if
hip hop's hard.
Beat Street and Breaking, if they had soundtracks, and kind of
but they're like cheesy. I bought them all, but they were never like that good. They would have like
only one
song.
Or two songs, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Wild Style has, what do they have? That has Cold Crush Brothers, Busy Bee, Fab Five Freddy, Grandmaster Kaz.
Yeah, it's real old school.
Yeah, it's really old school. Down by Law by Fab Five Freddy.
Yeah.
Busy Bee. Yeah, that's a good one. There's one other. Now I'm skipping around, but if we had to go, if we're sticking with hip hop,
okay, I have two.
I've got a bunch. One. Well, I don't know if I've got a bunch. I should have more, but I think I have the problem that we mentioned, which is that you would buy the record and be like one good rap on it.
I have three. Now that I look at it, I have actually three.
So is Above the Rim one of yours?
Above the Rim is one. Yes.
Okay, because that's got Regulate on it. That's a Death Jam, Death Row. That's a Death Row Records.
Yeah.
Terrible movie, really
Above
good.
the Rim has it's the full Death Row. It's got Warren G. It's got Snoop.
Afro Puffs. It has Lady of Rage. Great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack. Bad movie, but good soundtrack.
Terrible movie. I mean, most of the hip hop movies are not good, but some of them are okay. But what was your other hip hop one?
Friday.
Oh, Friday's great.
Cube, Dre, and even some Rick James. Mary Jane,
bitch.
This guy, I love you, Mary Jane.
Right. I just watched that very, very recently with my son for the first time. That's
watching my daughter too.
I think we talked about this because rest in peace to Tebow. Yeah, he just died. That's a good one. What's your third? Because I was struggled with this. I was gonna put Juice. I was gonna put New Jack City, but then I realized I don't really like that kind of music.
It's not great. It's got a hip hop and R&B, but it's got good enough hip hop that I included it. The movie's called Brown Sugar, and Rakim is on it. Mos Def is on it. The Roots are on it.
All right, you have me at
Erykah
Rakim.
Badu. Yeah, so
that's cool. Yeah, that's a good one. I might have to download that.
Yeah,
it's
a good soundtrack.
Blackalicious, The Roots. Yeah, dope. All right. Now we get into more obscure ones. Here's a good one. It's a very good movie.
Before you say it, I have another question for you because this is lines of the Sergeant Pepper one. So Cadillac Records.
Yeah.
Cadillac Records is
does that count?
Does it count? Because it's all the Chess Records people. So it's Jeffrey Wright and playing Muddy Waters and Beyonce playing Etta James. She did an amazing rendition, by the way, of Atlanta. So I don't know. Does that count?
I think it counts. I mean, it's freaking. I mean, but then again, then you have to throw in that James Brown movie that Chadwick Boseman was in.
Yeah, but I don't think music wise it wasn't. Yeah, so I don't know. It's on the side, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like what I just remembered. Like, what about the Queen movie? What about Rocket Man?
Yeah.
Are those on? Yeah, I don't know. You write in and tell us whether those
let us know.
I think of soundtracks as like the director sitting around being like, all right, here are the 10 songs I want in my movie.
Yeah.
Like the way Tarantino did it.
I agree. We'll move that aside. It doesn't count. All right. Go ahead.
One of the, like to get a little corny here, but it really is a good soundtrack is The Graduate.
I kind of put on my list.
It's got Mrs. Rob. I mean, it's all Simon and Garfunkel.
It's all Simon Garfunkel, yeah.
But it's got Mrs. Rob. I mean, it's all their best songs, like Mrs. Robinson, Scarborough Fair, Sound of Silence.
Yeah.
And then they have Dave Grusin, like instrumentals. So it's like good jazz as well. Yeah. I don't know. So, it's a great movie. I have a lot of connection to that movie. My father actually was roommates with the guy who wrote the book, The Graduate.
Wow.
And then my best friend out here, Max Brooks, one of my best friends out here, is his mother is Mrs. Robinson, the late great Mrs. Robinson. I love.
It's a great movie. I love that movie. The soundtrack is good. I'm not the biggest Simon Garfunkel fan. My dad used to play when I was a kid. I've seen Paul Simon. I like the hits, but when it gets a little obscure.
By the way, did you hear that Paul Simon sold his entire catalog to Sony Records for like hundreds of millions of dollars, but like so that he won't own it anymore? But that's what musicians do now. They sell their entire catalogs.
Is that because he's winding down his life and he wants to
maybe I think it's because it's just a great way to make money off your music in one big check. Like Sony Records is just like,
does he really need it?
Yeah, I don't know. He probably does need it.
Well, speaking of cheesy, so I have a really cheesy soundtrack, but I like it.
Me too.
It's the Last Days of Disco.
Oh, what's on that?
Diana Ross.
Well, that's awesome.
Cheek, the OJs.
Oh, wow. I don't even know the movie. Is it a real movie or is it a documentary?
Real movie, real bad movie, like real bad. But the soundtrack is all these great disco songs. So
I also have on my list, and the kind of cheesy movie, but I kind of like it in a cheesy way, is Almost Famous.
Oh, it's a great soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack. It's got Tiny Dancer on it.
I love that movie, by the way. Love that.
I actually really do too. I like almost all his movies. But America is on it. They have Yes songs on it.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew what he was. He wrote for Rolling Stone. He knew his music.
Well, speaking of him, my next soundtrack is Singles. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
It is an incredible.
Love it. Yeah, it's
and I don't remember ever seeing the movie, but I love it.
Great movie. Matt Dillon plays the lead singer of a Seattle band and he's a goof and all that stuff. But it's like it's got Chris Cornell is in it. The Eddie Vedder's in it. It's the one that they had a makeshift band called Citizen Dick. I think I talked about in the show before that I had a T-shirt.
Right.
Yeah,
That's funny.
But it's got Pearl Jam, Chris Cornell, Temple of the Dog, Paul Westerberg, all that stuff. So I love that soundtrack.
Okay, another soundtrack that might be off the beaten track. I didn't see it on a lot of people's lists.
Yeah.
Repo Man. Which, did you see the movie Repo Man?
I saw the movie. It's with Emilio Estevez, right?
Yeah. It's like early Emilio Estevez, kind of really raunchy 80s movie.
Yeah.
And Black Flag, Suicidal Tendencies,
right,
Circle Jerks.
Right, yeah.
Basically, the entire soundtrack is just like the who's who of like punk music from the early 80s, late 70s. It's kind of cool. I just thought we got to represent Repo Man.
Anything with Henry Rollins, man, is cool.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. And then my last one, I'm looking at my list here. Oh, It's a good one to end on because then I can put my song, one of the songs I love so much.
Why? I still have a few.
You have it, so we'll do. I'm just gonna go last because.
Yeah. Let me go through the rest of my list.
Okay, I'm bringing on the music first. Is this on your list?
This is from what movie is that?
This is Trainspotting.
Trainspotting. Yeah.
This is Born Slippy.
I love the
Underworld.
movie. I love the soundtrack. It's on my list.
Lust for Life.
You got Trainspotting, Lust for Life. I mean, that movie and that sound. We talked about it too before.
Yeah, we've talked about that movie. That movie has made it into a few of our podcasts.
Amazing. But Trainspotting 2, that's not the
No,
best.
don't see that, huh?
Not the best.
I think I didn't see it just because I didn't.
I saw it, and it was just they took the characters and like put it just way too much. They overdid it. The dude with the mustache became like a guy that just slices people as they walk. It was overplayed. Okay, so here's my few that we didn't go over yet. So next one on my list is Clueless.
Yes.
So I mentioned it is first. I love the soundtrack. It has Beastie Boys on there, it has Radiohead, and even has our man Coolio. So
I mean, and you know what? It's a good movie. I always give credit for watching things with my son. Well, I watched that one with my daughter, and she started dressing like Cher from that movie. The next day, she was totally inspired by her fashion, and yeah, it's a fun movie, and it has a great soundtrack, and it's a very seminal movie of the '90s for sure.
Agreed. So my other one is Dazed and Confused.
I had a feeling you'd have that on there.
Real good.
You just love that
rock.
movie.
I love the movie. I love Matthew McConaughey in that movie. I mean, that's where all right came from. It was in that movie.
All right. Yeah. It's a classic.
Classic movie. ZZ Top, Alice Cooper, School's Out, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath. So
your boys.
Had to have it. I'm gonna leave one of my favorites for last. So the next one is Boogie Nights.
Oh, I had that on my list and then I took it off by accident. Boogie Nights is incredible.
It's great.
That's another one where he went way deep into the crates on that one.
He's got Boney M. Nobody knows Boney M.
Right.
But he's got a song. Now it's a TikTok song that everybody plays Boney M on TikTok. So my daughter now knows who that is.
Yeah, that's a TikTok brings back all these things. The other day my kids were playing Zanzibar by Billy Joel it's like a very deep cut from 52nd Street. I was like, I love that song. My daughter's like singing it out loud. I'm like, how do you know Zanzibar? That's like
I know.
such a
It's
random
great that
Billy
the ring
Joel.
was back.
I know
love that. All right. So my last one, I think it's my last one, but yeah, it'll be my last one regardless, is the Crow soundtrack.
Oh.
All right.
That's
so
the late great. That's the late great
Brandon Lee,
where
he got actually shot.
Yep.
While filming a scene that's supposed to have gun with blanks. I believe that's the story, if I remember it correctly.
Yeah.
And they actually used the real bullet. So who knows? There's a lot of conspiracy around.
Wow, that's a great soundtrack. I'm looking at it right now.
I mean, you got Stone Temple Pilots. You have 9 Inch Nails. You have Rage Against the Machine. You have Violent Femmes. I mean, I just love that soundtrack.
Color Me Once, yeah.
And this one of my favorite STP songs ever.
Oh yeah.
Interstate, yeah.
This one and Big Empty. Yeah.
Big Empty, yeah.
Big Empty.
Driving faster in my car.
Stone Temple Pilots are just get better with time.
Well, rest in peace, Scott Weiland.
Rest in peace, Scott Weiland.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I think I'm proud of us for not including things like Footloose and
Dirty Dancing,
My Bodyguard, and Dirty Dancing.
No,
we just didn't do it. And what's the one that has Maniac on it? Flashdance. Flashdance.
Yes.
We didn't do Flashdance. You know what? There's a lot of popular songs on Flashdance, but I just couldn't do it.
Me neither.
Hated growing up. I should give a shout out to my friend Adam, since it is the year of anniversary of his passing, and he did the soundtrack record for That Thing You Do. And that is really a fun soundtrack record and a really good original song. So I'm gonna do an honorable mention of That Thing You Do in honor of Adam.
Well, did you have a final one?
No, I'm done.
Was that it?
Yeah. What's yours? Are you have more?
That was it. No.
Oh, we did it. We got through them.
Yeah.
I think that was a pretty good exhaustive list.
Very exhaustive.
You will find a full list of our picks in the notes of this podcast, so you can download them. We should get a affiliate fee from Apple Music.
We should get an affiliate fee. I think so.
I'm actually going to talk to them about that.
We promote a lot of their
We
stuff.
do. We're keeping music alive. Even if Spotify has destroyed music, the music business, we're slowly keeping it alive and doing it in our own way. So should we go into our favorite segment?
Let's do it.
You like that? I did a little echo.
I know. I heard that. All right. So would you like to start with a sad or a happy song? By the way, the reason why I picked these two are not only the song, but I love the video. So whoever's listening to this,
you got to watch the video.
The visual for these are great. Both of them.
Let's think. Well, we should probably end on an upbeat. So let's start with the sad, and then we'll end. We'll put everybody in a happy mood afterwards.
Okay. So this is my sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my sad. So this is sad on so many different levels to me. Number one, it's Fife Dog posthumously doing a song, a record, as his tribute to Jay Dilla,
who's also no longer with us.
Right. And he's talking about Jay Dilla and meeting him in heaven and all that stuff. And it's probably happening now. So it really struck me.
Good hip hop up in heaven. I'm telling you now, man.
Sure. And in hell.
Scala Rock is probably DJing. Yeah.
Both.
Good party. Big Bank Hank just dropped by to hang out. All right.
So let's see what this is like. I think it's playing. It's winking right now.
It's playing.
Dilla Dog. Had a dream about you, fam. It's 2005. We in the same hospital room. You on one side, I'm on the other. I'm stressed out. But what gave me motivation is you pulling out that MP.
Chicago Bulls are beating the Knicks by 80 points.
I know, right?
Nothing ever fazed you, fam. And for that, I miss you. I'ma see you in due time. That's my word, I'ma see you. Front end ass rappers down here still an issue. Posing like they hard when we know they all see through. I'ma tell you, Dilla, why they lacking skills, pal. No stage presence, cadence, style. They living off of hooks, skinny jean crooks, pre-K lyrics. I reminisce when Mob drop shooks.
I mean, it's like
it's so good.
It's a great song. I really like the lyrics are so good, and he tells this beautiful story. And the video is beautiful because it's a lot of Jay Dilla and his mom and holding his baby pig, and them in the hospital room together is just so surreal. So, yeah,
I love it.
Both of them.
It's good.
All right, so my next song, I don't know if the song is so happy, but I love the video. The video makes me smile. So I'm just going to share this really quick.
All right.
Let's see if we can get a transition done set up
smoothly.
Yeah. So it's got a little bit of a
these things always
set up to it. But the song is called "Stay High," and I was going to use it for our songs about weed, but I'm not sure if it's about weed. You can see it's by Brittany Howard from Alabama Shakes. And it's Terry Crews.
Terry Crews is in it.
This is starting. so we don't get.
I like it.
But it's the reason why I like it. Terry Crews sings the whole song. It's him singing Brittany Howard in the video.
I freaking love that. I love that he's singing.
Yeah, it's great.
I just thought of something for my. I love that Brittany Howard, Terry Crews. I just thought of something that I wanted to share with our audience and with you.
Yeah.
So my brother just had a birthday, and I was trying to think of something special to get him, and I remembered that we both grew up, loving Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight, and then I remembered that you can go on this website Cameo and get some of your favorite artists to record birthday recordings for you. So I typed in Big Bang. No, I didn't type. I typed in Wonder Mike, didn't come up. Then I typed in Master G, and for $100, I got him to record this little ditty. And this is Master G. And if you watch this on YouTube, you will also see the video. But here we go. Oh man. Oh wait, it's muted.
MAS, the TE.
Let me do it.
David, what's
David.
up? This is the MAS, the TER, the G with a double E. This is your boy, man. It's the Master G. And I understand on March 24th, you're going to be the big 5-0. I said a hip, hop, the hippie to the hippie, the hip, a hop, you don't stop the rock until the bang, bang, boogie, say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear is not a test, I'm a rapping to the beat. And me, Mike, and the crew gonna try to move your feet. But now Master G wants to say to thee a happy, happy 50th birthday and a rocker to the rhythm. The rhythm don't stop. The rock to the rhythm, it just don't stop. Skittle rock, we rock, Scooby-Doo. Guess what? Happy birthday to you, cause
Dude, that was great.
mean,
That's $100.
$100 for that? That's like the best thing I ever got him.
That's fucking gold.
That was considered the greatest birthday present. Somebody actually, just a little tip, I think for a little more, Dougie Fresh will do one for you, and he does a really good one. So Cameo for all those people out there who are, and it's such a great birthday present because you can also share it on social, and everybody thinks you're the man.
I love it.
And the woman.
That was awesome. I'm gonna do that from now on.
I think I just gave Cameo. This episode brought to you by Cameo.
Yeah, Cameo, please.
Yeah,
why
don't they be a sponsor? All right. Well, that was a great episode. And
it's 420.
It's 420. We should do a 1st. Right. Oh yeah, it is 420 on April 1st. That's very cool. It's 4:20 p.m. right now. PT.
I'm wearing a perfect shirt for that too. I don't know if I shared it with the audience yet.
Oh yeah, show your shirt. It says, it's got Cheech and Chong, and it says "Hands off my stash."
Yep. And then, Chong is pulling Cheech's stash. So for those who didn't see it, so.
It's a double entendre.
Yes, double entendre.
Yeah, a little double entendre. All right, Len, another brilliant show. Keep it real. Let's not try to impress people. We'll just keep it true to ourselves. What we like is good enough.
Yeah. And Dad, if you're listening to this, I love you.
I love you too, Alex. All right. Peace.
All right.